Last time, one program survived several changes of appearance. We printed it as JSON, printed it as an S expression, checked its structure, and rewrote one branch. Yet this tree has still not processed a single transaction. It describes a question, but a description is not its answer. The missing arrow is meaning.
What has to cross that arrow?
An interpreter. It receives an expression and an environment, then produces a value. The expression says what operation is requested. The environment supplies the world in which names such as transactions, status, and date make sense. The returned value is what the surrounding expression can use. That equation will survive every language we build. Interpret an expression in an environment to obtain a value. The core is surprisingly small. A literal evaluates to itself. A compound expression names an operator. The interpreter dispatches on that name, recursively evaluates whatever operands the operator needs, and combines the returned values. Field means look up a name in the current row. Equality means interpret both sides, then compare them. Take means obtain a sequence, then keep a prefix. A few cases give every node in our tree an operational meaning. But recursion does not mean blindly evaluating every child from left to right. The operator owns the schedule. Equality needs both values, and may stop after the first false clause. The operator named where must evaluate its input before it can create a row environment for its predicate. An interpreter is therefore more than a table of Python functions. It defines both what each construct means and when its parts are evaluated. Why pass an environment at all? Because names do not carry their values inside the tree. The source expression contains the name transactions, not 9 embedded records. The source environment maps that name to the current dataset. Tomorrow. The same program may run against a different batch without changing one expression node. Separating program from environment is what makes the program reusable. The operator named where introduces a more local world. For row T004, field status evaluates to complete. For row T003, the identical field expression evaluates to pending. The program did not mutate, the current row changed. It extends the environment once per record, asks the predicate for a Boolean value, and keeps only the rows that return true. The environment is how one stable tree can mean something specific at each point in a computation. Here is the program as a tree. Take is the root. Its count is one child, and the report it consumes is the other. Follow that input branch and we descend through sort, sum, group by, and the operator named where, until we reach the first thing that can produce data, the transaction source. The evaluator's stack remembers every unfinished question on the way down. Take is waiting for sort. Sort is waiting for sum. Each frame says what must resume when a child returns. Source resolves its name in the environment and returns 9 rows. But the operator named where cannot evaluate its predicate once and be done. It supplies a different row environment each time. For this completed January purchase, field status becomes complete. And equality returns true. Field date becomes January 9th. Date on or after parses both ISO strings as calendar dates and returns true. The in node keeps the row. For this pending purchase, the first test is false. And short circuits, so the date branch need not run. Repeat that process across the batch, and 6 of the 9 rows survive. Now values climb the dependency tree. Group by turns 6 rows into 4 customer buckets. Sum turns those buckets into 4 totals. B at 520, Chen at 515, D at 500. And Ari at 460. Sort orders those records by the new total field. Take keeps the first 3. Notice that the expression nodes never disappeared. The blue values tell us what each subtree produced. The outline tree still tells us why.
So evaluation did not rewrite the query into a different query. It paired each expression with a value.
Exactly. The interpreter gives operators meaning, chooses which children to evaluate and when, and returns a value to the waiting context. Later, a rewrite engine will turn one expression into another expression. For now, this yellow and blue motion is interpretation. Expression plus environment produces value. Giving an operator meaning also gives it obligations. Date on or after does not compare arbitrary text. It parses two ISO calendar dates, then compares the resulting date values. A well-formed date string works. Text such as sometime does not. Our interpreter can report that mistake, but only after evaluation reaches the bad value. Structural validation proved that this was a tree. It did not prove that every operation received the right kind of value.
Could we detect that before touching the transactions?
Yes, if another environment described what kind of value each name denotes. Then another traversal could interpret the same tree without running the query. Instead of ranked rows, it would produce a type or a localized error. We have learned how values rise through a tree. Next, we let types rise through it.